Hey guys, how you doing? Back at you again with another movie review. I know I'm a little behind the punch on this one, but I've just been so busy trying to reacclimate to my schedule after the Toronto International Film Festival, and so this one, I heard great things about it. I knew I had to see it. It was just so hard to find the time between work and everything else going on in my life, but I did get a chance to see The Long Walk, the latest Stephen King adaptation from director Francis Lawrence, starring Cooper Hoffman and David Jonsson. And this follows, in a dystopian alternate America, this group of boys who decide to take the long walk to essentially try to win a grand fortune for themselves to help them escape the situation that they're in and the system in which they're trapped. And you get to see, bonds formed along the way, especially with a small group of boys, but especially between Ray Garrity, played by Hoffman, and Peter McVries, played by David Jonsson. And, this has already been a great year for Stephen King adaptation. Of course, The Life of Chuck is one of the best Stephen King adaptations we've seen, I think, in a very long time. And when I was hearing how good this was, I was like, wow, I really need to go see this. One of my very, very best friends, you know who you are, was saying it's one of the best movies of the year. And so with that kind of level of praise, I knew, I was like, all right, I gotta go see this. And I did get the chance to see it this past week, and man, this was rough. This is one of the most emotionally draining movies I have seen in quite some time, and the movie really kind of lulls you into it at first. You already sense immediately that something is off, especially when Judy Greer, who plays Cooper Hoffman's mother, Ray's mother in the film, is kind of interacting with him at the beginning of the film when she drops him off, and then it's off to the races after that. At least a little, maybe that's not the right word, because, these guys can't go, well, they could go over 3 miles per hour, but they can't fall under, so they try to keep a steady pace this whole long walk, and if you fall underneath it, that's it, you're gone. And I love how Francis Lawrence builds up these moments in the film where you slowly but surely start to see how disastrous and emotionally tolling that this long walk is. That this, ritual almost that these boys are forced to take part of. I mean, this, for historical context, was the first novel that Stephen King wrote. Eventually, it came out after Carrie, which was his first published novel, and we saw that go on to great success with the film adaptation. But this one, it took a while to come around because he used his pseudonym for this one too to see if it would sell, and eventually we all found out it was Stephen King, and it flew off the shelves. And it's been a long time in the making for this movie, but what I really love is some of the direction from Francis Lawrence, absolutely, but more so the screenplay from J.T. Molnar, who did the very, very good and overlooked Strange Darling from last year, which I reviewed on this channel. And I really think that this is one of the best adaptations of anything, probably this year, but most certainly a Stephen King. I mean, if it's between this and Chuck, I'm going with this, because, my goodness, it is one that took me a little while to get into, but once the movie grips me, especially in the last stretch of the film, the last 50 minutes or so, it is one of my favorite movies of the year. I was just so wrapped up in the drama, the chaos that is surrounding these boys and them experiencing death firsthand, right in front of their very eyes. It is just, oh my goodness, it is so emotionally taxing, and this isn't one that's going to be an easy sit for anyone, I would think, unless you're absolutely heartless. But really, I love that, unlike The Hunger Games, which funnily enough, The Hunger Games feels like an extension of The Long Walk in a lot of ways, and I had to revisit those movies because I saw the first two when they came out, but I think the thing that's so effective here, as opposed to the Hunger Games, is you get to see the violence, and they do not shy away from just showing how brutal it is, and just having to, experiencing this while you're under all this stress and exhaustion. It really makes sense how this takes an emotional and physical toll on these boys, quite literally. And I think the performances here are what really put this over the top. I mean, this is one of the most stat casts of the entire year. I think so many of these actors are going on to do so many great things. But I'm just going to mention a few of the standouts for me. Charlie Plummer, who's great in everything I've seen him in, is so immediately captivating, and just his chaotic energy definitely bursts off the screen for every second he's present, and yet again continues to show just how diverse of an actor he is. Ben Wong, who I thought was an absolute superstar in Karate Kid Legends, is really the comedic relief of this film here, and he is so funny, just so much charisma flying off the screen from him, and I think he also really emotionally anchors this movie in a lot of ways that you don't expect. I really loved his performance. I cannot wait to see anything that he's going to be in from now on. I also think Tut Nyot, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is art here. I've never seen him in anything, but he really impressed me as well, and I think his character is one of the ones with the biggest heart in the movie. I think Judy Greer, whenever she shows up, it's just, oh my goodness, she is bringing her A game, and just, oh my goodness, probably one of the most devastating performances in this movie, having to see her son go on this walk and all the emotional baggage that goes along with her character. But really the standouts, to no one's surprise, are Cooper Hoffman and David Jonsson. This is the best I've ever seen Cooper Hoffman in anything. And, I love him in Licorice Pizza, but this is just asking so much of him as an actor. It's so emotionally demanding. He has so many layers to his character. You get the sympathy that shines through. You get the anger, resentment, so many things going on in the mind of Ray Garrity in this story. And Cooper Hoffman delivers that 100% to a T. But really, David Jonsson, man, I will say, while for me, I think Cooper Hoffman impressed me a little bit more, that's only because David Jonsson is so amazing in every single movie that he's in, that this was no surprise to me that he was going to pull this out. I mean, between Alien Romulus last year, and I just saw him in Waste Man at TIFF. I haven't reviewed that yet, but I will get around to it. I just think he is one of the absolute best talents of his generation. Just has so much damn range, and the charisma that he brings, it just explodes off the screen. Has such a vibrant energy to him. His enthusiasm is infectious, but also just, he absolutely wears his heart on his sleeve, and is just such a great anchor for all the people in this race, but also what his character is going through. There's a lot underneath the surface to unpack with his story and everything in between. I mean, it is just amazing how great this guy is. I really do feel like him and Cooper Hoffman especially would both get nominated in the years to come at the Oscars, because I really do feel like they are so talented, and I think we are going to be seeing these two for years to come. It's amazing what Cooper Hoffman especially has accomplished, and I really think he's sort of establishing his own name for himself outside of his father, and I just think that it's amazing what genetics can bring. But I really think that these guys, we're going to be seeing them for a long time. But I think what shines above all else in the story is the humanity that they bring to these characters amidst, the darkness and bleakness of this dystopian world that has been ravaged by, we don't know. I love that the movie kind of keeps it vague as to what's going on, but you have Mark Hamill as, I think, the Major, and he's just so heartless in every scene he's in, and it's a perfect contrast to what these boys are going through, and just the bond that they have for one another. This isn't like, oh, I'm going to win, fuck you, that sort of thing. This really is filled with so much warmth and care and understanding and empathy, and that humanity shines through in so many scenes, to the point there were multiple times in the movie where I was on the verge of tears or was crying at least a little bit. It is just such a powerful story, but also what it has to say about the oppressive systems in which these people live in, and how they're forced to take a part of this exploitative venture. And I think it draws a lot of parallels to today, and especially other parts of the world. But I find it interesting, considering that this was written around the time that the Vietnam War was taking place, and you feel a lot of that dread and that sense of misguided optimism that's placed upon these kids, and why they're doing this. I think it's such a great story of redemption and hope, but yet again, it is one of the most dreary films you will ever see. I really don't have a whole lot to say about this, besides the fact that I would probably rate it a little bit higher, but I don't think the filmmaking is like anything that special. To me, it's really the script and the performances that really put this one a notch above so many other movies this year. But really, I would say, be prepared to bring the tissues, be prepared to sit down for a very emotionally grueling film, but an extremely rewarding one that is so uncompromising in its story, but so effective in telling one of Stephen King's best novels. I would say, if I had to guess, I haven't read it, but of course there are a few big changes which some people might not sit with too well. I haven't read the book, and I was thinking about the ending for a long time, but I think what the ending was ultimately saying was something I really appreciated, and I love that it is also a bit ambiguous. That's all I will say about it. But yeah, this really has to be one of the all-time great Stephen King adaptations. And I just think especially Cooper Hoffman and David Jonsson just elevate this to a whole other level. And if it weren't for their chemistry, their bond, their friendship, that just rings true in every single frame of this story, I don't think it would have had the same emotional impact that it eventually did by the end of the film. So I am going to give The Long Walk a 9 out of 10. This is a must-see from 2025, and I think that this is continuing the streak of 2025 snowballing into what quickly is going to be one of the best years in film of the decade so far. But yeah, like I said, be prepared for this one, because it's not an easy sit, but it's an ultimately just powerful experience. So let me know if you guys saw The Long Walk these past couple weekends, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. Do you think this ranks amongst the best Stephen King adaptations? Do you think this ranks amongst one of the best movies of the year? I'd love to hear that and so much more, and please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to get back to the TIFF reviews now. I think the next one I'm going to review is Christie, and so please stay on the lookout for that and so much else. Of course, the reviews for Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice and Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. Both are right around the corner, and I can't wait to share my thoughts on those movies with you guys. But until then, take it easy and have a good one.